Well, welcome once again to the last video talking about how to convert measurements um, within, this time, the customary system of units. And we're going to be talking about weight. Whoa, that was a weird W, but that's okay. Weight. And capacity, or liquid measure. That's what this video is about. Converting units within the system, US customary system for weight and capacity, just in the US system. All right, so once again, I just want to remind you the magic numbers for capacity are in the chart that I gave you, and the magic numbers, or the equivalencies of weight, are also in the chart. So I'll be using those in the explanation. So you need to memorize those magic numbers or those equivalencies, and you also need to memorize that when you're converting a large unit to a small unit, you multiply, and when you're converting a small unit to a large unit, you divide. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to start with is weight, because there aren't so many conversions to do in this. I'm just going to do two examples. We're going to first change ounces into pounds, and then we're going to change tons into pounds. All right, so let's start with, let's say 120 ounces. And we want to find out how many pounds 120 ounces is. Okay? We want to change that into pounds. All right. So that's LB. All right. So the first thing we need to know is that the magic number for ounces and pounds is that there is 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So again, it's way more difficult than the metric system where everything's based on 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. Okay, and the second thing we need to know is that an ounce is smaller than a pound, so it's not going to take as many pounds to equal the same amount as it is the number of ounces. So that, in that case, that means we're going to divide. So we're going to do 120 divided by 16. Actually, we're going to change this into pounds and ounces this time, not just pounds, because I didn't do one like that in the length, and this will give you an idea of what to do if I want pounds and ounces. Okay, so right now this is 120 ounces. I'm going to divide it by 16 ounces. So when I divide this out, 16 goes into 127 times. 7 times 16 is 112. So I have a remainder of 8. And I'm going to write it over here because otherwise I'm not going to be able to see it. So there's a remainder of 8. Okay? So I know I have 7 whole pounds. And then the number of ounces here, I have 8 left over, so I have 8 ounces left over. So that's one way of saying 120 ounces equals 7 pounds and 8 ounces. But what if I just wanted to know how many pounds? Well, 8 ounces out of 16 ounces, I can reduce that into the fraction 1/2. So if I really wanted to know how many pounds, I could say that was 7 1/2 pounds. So that's a pretty bad LB, but I think you get the idea. 7 1/2 pounds. Okay, so there's one example. Let's erase that. Okay, and so now we're going to change tons. We're going to change, let's say, 0.72 tons into pounds. You want to know how many pounds it equals. Okay. Alrighty. So, one thing we need to know is the magic number for for tons and pounds is that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So that means a ton is a lot. Like you would weigh elephants in tons. Okay? And also you know a ton is way bigger than a pound, so it's going to take a lot more pounds than it does tons to equal the same amount. So if that's the case, we're going to multiply that 2,000, and I'm just going to use the 2,000 as I have it written there, by 0.72. And when I multiply, I always put the longer number on top. You don't have to. But I want to point out again that I'm not lining up the decimal points. I don't need to, because I don't just bring the decimal point straight down. So when I multiply 2,000 times 72, I get 144,000. So you can do that multiplication yourself. I did it out to the side because there's not room here. So I get 144,000. And because I have 2 decimal places in my problem right here, I need to have 2 decimal places in my answer, so my decimal point is going to go right there. So that means that 0.72 tons is equal to 1,440 pounds. So that's how you change units of measure within the US Customary system, units of measure for weight. Good luck.